Hello guys, if you can hear my voice, please write audio okay in the chat box so that we'll know we can start. Hello guys, if you can hear my voice, please write audio okay in the chat box so
Okay,
that
so
we'll
I
know
see a
we
lot
can
of
start.
audio. Okay, so we'll start the stream.
I welcome everyone to Open Source for the Win Hacktoberfest 2020 edition. This is the 7th year of Hacktoberfest, and this is the first time we, IoT Lab as an organization, are managing and hosting this. So again, welcome to one and all. So I guess everybody is here, so we'll start the stream now. Now, Hacktoberfest is something which we have decided to do this year as our contribution to the open source community. Hacktober is all about open source. Now, you would be asking what is open source, and my friend Rohan will be telling about that later. But first, we'll discuss what is Hacktoberfest. So the concept of Hacktoberfest started back in 2013 when DigitalOcean and GitHub came together to promote the usage of GitHub, and to support individual or standalone developers in helping them contribute to the world. We have seen a lot of software around. ठीक है, हमारे पास बहुत सॉफ्टवेयर होता है, MS Office है, Windows है, but इन सबका source code, the source code which is at the heart of these softwares, ये हमें कभी नहीं मिलता. See, we don't have access to this. So if you look at Windows and you find a bug, you really have to wait for Windows to fix that in a Microsoft update. You can't just go around like, yeah, this is the problem, I'll fix it, and then I'll apply the patch to my own system. But if you see Linux, Linux is an open source operating system. Now the open source stands for the whole code for the Linux kernel is available on the web. So everybody can copy that code, make changes to it, and then use that as their own. Hacktoberfest also allows developers and other community people to come together and enable everyone to contribute to open source. So the Hacktoberfest every year happens from October 1st to October 31st. This year, the first 70,000 participants that complete the 4 pull request challenge will be eligible for the t-shirt. Although this year has been a lot of controversy yet, but I hope everybody who is present here and everybody who contributes gets a t-shirt. So now I'll transfer to Rohan to tell you more about what is open source and why exactly do we have to like contribute or promote open source in this era of technology right now.
Hello, guys. So I would like to I would like to introduce you to what open source is. Open source software refers to software whose source code is freely available for anyone to redistribute and modify. What does open source have to do with Git and GitHub specifically? Now, a lot of open source projects keep their source code on code sharing platforms like GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab. So, the reason for this is that the open source community can contribute to those certain software. Like you might have heard Telegram is open source. This is the source code for the Telegram Android application. So, I can clone this, make changes for some feature that I think the Telegram app should have. And when I can show them that yes, this feature works, I can make a pull request here and tell them how I added this feature, and they can just merge this feature into their app. So this is why large open source projects use GitHub. Specifically GitHub because it is popular, it has a very good support staff, and like Sahil and I have run into issues with GitHub a lot, and they have helped us out, which cannot be said for Bitbucket, unfortunately. So now let's continue on with the introduction to Hacktoberfest, shall we?
Okay, so everybody here has now understood that Hacktoberfest is something to do with like Git and GitHub and DigitalOcean, but What exactly is Git and GitHub? Now let's start with that. So if you look at my screen, you'll see a conference presentation. Like this is how we have planned it. So we'll introduce ourselves, do some description of the talking, motivation, and then we hope not methodology and experiment, but we'll do with some content creation. We'll teach you how Git and GitHub works. Then we'll show you how to pull a repository, make changes, commit, and then how to create a pull request. Then we'll take your questions. Our friends at Kite will join us in the end for some, and then we'll do a Q&A. But that is not things exactly how it goes. So if you look below, you'll see first we had run into some stream issues. So we started like 6 or 7 minutes late. Then I hope my internet connection stays and everybody else's internet connection stays so that everybody can enjoy the stream. Then we'll find some problems. So if any of these happen during this stream, this is our first time. So I hope you will excuse us. So let's start with what is Git and GitHub. So before understanding Git and GitHub, we need to understand the concept of version control. Now, version control can be understood in this very simple example I'll give. See, everybody has played games like GTA, which involve a storyline. वो ना GTA Vice City start करते थे, तो फिर आता था. So how do you proceed in that game? Do you just start once and then continue playing till the game, till you die, and then you have to restart from the initial point? वापस से start में पूरा जाना पड़ेगा, फिर से करना पड़ेगा. Like you are doing a Dark Souls with zero challenge something. No, Dark Souls with zero death challenge. Yeah, that's a PewDiePie reference for those who know. No, we don't do that in real life. We save checkpoints. Now, checkpoints enable you to come back to those instances of the game and then continue forward without losing much progress. That is exactly what Git and GitHub allow you to do. Git allows you to, if you look at the screen, Git allows you to save your code at certain points so that if there is a problem, like a build issue, or you need to go back to some previous file and look at the code, you don't have to restart your project or press Control Z infinite number of times to go back to that one single line you deleted earlier and realize that that would work. Okay. So Git is not a backup system. Git is not used to recover files in case something happens to the original copy. Git works on the concept of keeping track of changes. For example, you add 4 lines and you remove 2 lines. Git will just remember that you have added these 4 and removed these 2. It will not remember all 125 lines that you have written else in the code. So Git was developed back in 2005 and is an extremely popular version control system that is at the heart of very high profile projects. One I have mentioned before, that is the Linux kernel. Git is installed and maintained on your local system rather than on the cloud and gives you a self-contained record of your ongoing programming versions. It can be used completely exclusive of any cloud hosting service. You can totally use Git without having to run into GitHub if you don't want to, if you need to keep your code private, or you are just working locally. You are the sole developer on the project. Now, okay, that is Git. Git is a high quality version control system. But then what about GitHub? GitHub is designed as a Git hosting repository, Git repository hosting service. And what exactly is a Git repository hosting service? Well, that's quite a mouthful. It's an online database that allows you to keep track and share your Git repositories with the world. It presents an extremely intuitive graphical user interface that you would see in the further down the stream. This also makes possible for entire teams to coordinate and work on a single project. Now in this, we have been in lockdown and then the lockdown was lifted, but we're still at home. So if you have to make a presentation with your friend, how do you proceed about it? You make some slides, you send it over to him, then he integrates this, then he sends you a copy, then you have to download the copy, look at the changes, then you have to make your own changes, then you send it back to him. Now in this case, we have taken example of only 2 people. What if the team was of 15 people? And somebody is making changes at the same time, somebody else is making changes, somebody makes changes at 4 a.m. in the morning, and then you wake up. So you don't know what changes were done. This is where Git helps in. GitHub allows you to store your work on the website that is their own, also as in the form of a database system. And then using GitHub, you can contribute and collab with other developers in real time. Now, how this happens and everything we'll do in the next part. I assume everyone here has a GitHub account. Till now, we have already messaged and explained that you really need a Git/Git, not Git account, but a GitHub account to proceed with Hacktoberfest, which is on GitHub. Okay. Okay. So GitHub allows us for easy share and collaborate. So to distribute work, we can clone the repository. To improve upon others' work, we can fork the repository. For example, my friend has a repository. I look at the repository. For repository, I'll be using the short-term repo in this stream. So I look at the repo and then I clone the repo and then I make some changes and I realize, wow, such a great work I have done. Now my friend and other people using that original repository should also see my work. So you'll make a pull request and then it's in your friend's hands that if he merges the pull request or not. Now that relies upon your equation with your friend. I hope he does because that is really required for you to make one of the 4 valid PRs for the t-shirt. Okay. So GitHub profile also serves as a great way to showcase your work. You have been working on a lot of projects and these projects can be anything from ML projects to web projects to Android apps. GitHub supports a wide variety of projects. Any language in which you code, there's probably a GitHub repository there. Now, it's not a replacement to LinkedIn, but you definitely can link your GitHub profile to LinkedIn so that when people come to hire you or people look at your profile, they can come to your GitHub and check for projects that are there. That is also one benefit of Git. Now, we'll start with Git and GitHub. So the first thing we'll do is we'll learn to install. How do we install Git? Okay. So in order to install Git, we have to first go to this site, which is https://git-scm.com/downloads. And then you will see something called latest source release to version 2.28.0. You'll click on the download button. It will show you this screen, which will say your download is starting, and then the download will happen. And then you will get this file, which I have placed on the desktop. So this stream will be live after stream will be live and stay on YouTube after we are done. So in case you have to refer to any of these steps back, you can come back and refer them. So to install Git, you will double click on this application and we will be greeted with some of this screen, which is the GNU General Public License. So you can either read the license. I really want people to start reading licenses because they contain a lot of information about what you can do with the software and not. This is also one of the places where you can realize if this is a proprietary software or an open source software. Then you go click on next. It will ask you where do you want to install Git. So we'll leave it to default. Then we'll go to next. Here we'll leave everything by default. We need Git bash here and Git GUI here. Windows Explorer integration that works when you are in a folder and you do a right click. So a context menu appears. So you will get these 2 options there, which will enable you to quickly open Git windows anywhere. Then you can you have to associate Git configuration folders with the default text editor, and you have to associate .sh files to run with bash because we are on a Windows operating system. So for the next step, would you like to create a start menu folder? Yeah, okay. Yeah, the next step is important. Here it will ask which editor would you like to use. Now you can use any of the editor you wish. You can either go with Visual Studio Code or Vim or Notepad++, Atom. There are a lot of options. But for default and for this tutorial, we'll be using Nano by default. So if you could please click on the drop down, and Nano will be just above the Vim section. So select that. Then we'll go to the next step. Now it will ask, do you want to add Git to your path environment? So yes, we need to add Git to our path environment because we don't have to mount the Git folder every time we need to run the Git command. So adding Git to path will allow you to access Git from any of the shells that you have installed on your system, PowerShell and CMD to be precise. So we'll go with the recommended option. The next will be, how do you want to choose your SSL/TLS libraries? Now this will leave at open SSL library. See, everything you find here is open source. There's nothing proprietary or anything. You can find the code for every single thing in this installation somewhere on GitHub itself. So how do you want to configure the line ending conversations? So we are on Windows, we'll do it for Windows style. This also allows for cross-platform projects. For example, your friend is working on Ubuntu and you work on Windows. So this is the way to go. The next is, which terminal do you want to use with Git Bash? So for easy purposes, we'll work with MintTTY here. That is the default terminal for MSYS2. A lot of things are enabled in MintTTY that you won't find in default CMD. So we'll go with that. Then, oh my God, this is a lot of options. I've done Git installation so far back, I don't even remember. So what is the default behavior of Git pull? So the default behavior will be Git pull is fast forward or merge. It could be rebase. We'll be talking about rebase later when we will be doing PRs. But for this version, we'll go with default. Do you want a credentials manager? We will require a credentials manager here because for the first time we push to any of the repositories, it will ask you for your username and password. We'll also learn how to set that up in Git just in a moment. Do you want to enable file system caching? I will leave that to default. Do you want to enable experimental support? No, we won't be doing any experimental support for this video. And then it will stall Git on your system. You'll have to sit. I guess first years will have a 10 gen system, so it will be installing faster than my 8th gen, which is nice. Oh, somebody in the chat is adding the future is open source. Yeah, the future is open source. We all know. So this is the setup is completed wizard. It took like 10 minutes of installation. For half of the time went into reading stuff. So we'll untake view release notes. If you have the time, you can read release notes, but we'll take on launch Git bash and then we'll do next. So you will be greeted with something of this screen. Now the first part of the screen you'll look, it's my name. So whatever your username is set up, it will be displayed there. Then at the rate, the name of your machine, and then it's Ming W64, which is Ming shell 64-bit version. So the first two commands that we'll do is now we have set up Git. Okay. I assume you have set up your GitHub account. So after setting up your GitHub account, you would have at least two of these things. The email you have used to set up GitHub and the username you have very nicely or selected for your GitHub account that is going to stay for, I don't know, please do not usually change your GitHub usernames. That is a pro tip I'm giving right now. Once you select a GitHub username and you have started to make contributions, you stick with that. So choose a nice name. So the first command we'll be running is git config space -- global user.name. Now this is my username on GitHub. You can find me using this username. Technically, you can find anybody on GitHub if you have their username, because finding people by name is very difficult. So this command enables Git to know what is your username it is going to use when it's going to push commits. We go back to the case. So case याद है ना, like दोस्त का repo लिया, content निकाला, change किया, फिर दोस्त को वापस pull request बना के भेजा. But when you send, how would your friend know that it is you or somebody else on the internet? So you have to set your user.name. The next command will run is git config -- global user.email io.sahilcat. This is my email that I have used. Now this, I'll suggest everyone to have a developer email separate from your Git account and your main Gmail account, because that is the good practice. So if you already have linked your Gmail account or the Git account with your GitHub ID, I'll suggest you also make a new email account and then add it to this. These are very small pro tips you won't find on the internet. This is things we have learned by experience in a long while, because once your GitHub starts to explode, you won't be able to find chutti wala emails and registrar ne kuch bheja to milega nahi. It will spam your inbox. So we'll do this, and after doing this, yeah. So we have done this. Now I'll shift and I'll now show you how to clone a repo. So I'll share my screen. So this is my screen. I'll wait for this to appear on the stream as well. Okay, it's appearing on the stream. Okay, so the first thing you need to do for pulling a repository is to find a repository. Now, for this stream, I'm going to use this very aptly named repository called stream test. I have a very simple test.c file here. Okay, so it contains code. Now this is GitHub. I already have this repo made. You can make new repositories by going to your account, clicking on new, and then it will ask you for a repository name. You just have to put what now you can't put spaces, whatever name you want. Please do not put dots and anything else for easier access in Linux and everything. And then you can just click on create repository. It will make a repository for you. But for this tutorial, we already have a repository, and I'm assuming everybody who wants to make a PR will be working upon a repository that already exists. So we'll go into test stream. Now this is my repository. I have made one commit. Now we'll discuss what commits are and everything else soon. So to get this repository on your local system, you need to first know what's the address of the repository on the internet. To do that, you will find this code button present. You click on this. You'll see an HTTPS address, which will be technically this address you see in the Chrome URL address bar, but it will have a .git extension at the last. See, here is the .git extension. So you copy this, okay? You minimize. Now, remember I have told when we were installing it, we will do a right click and then we'll find something called git bash here. So we'll click on git bash here and then it will open this. Okay, so I'll exit this presentation for now. Now we'll type git clone. See, to clone a repository, it's making an exact copy of the repository that is online onto your local machine. So we'll type git clone, and then you will paste the URL that you have just copied from the repositories page, and then we'll press enter. So it will tell you cloning into stream test. It will find the object. It will enumerate how many objects were there. Then it will do something of its own magic. And then suddenly we'll find, oh wow, the stream test folder has appeared on my desktop. If you open the folder, you will find the single test.c file that is present. And if you open this with code, and you look at what is the contents of test.c, you'll see it's the exact same contents you have, but on the internet. Okay, so you have a repo that was earlier on the internet and now you have finally cloned it to your local system. तो अब चेंज करते हैं उसमें, ठीक है? तो तुम्हारे दोस्त ने लिखा he is adding two numbers. You have decided adding two numbers is very lame. Everybody can do that. I'll do multiplying two numbers. Wow. So first we'll make some changes. So you think this is your normal copy. So you will just change it to, now I'll change it to multiply. So I'll type mul and I'll enter two numbers. Very good. Then I'll do mul is equal to number one into number two. And then I will also replace here with a x. So integer into integer will give me an integer and I'll return not sum, but multiplication. Okay, so I have made changes. Now there's also a comment section. Your friend was very nice to include comments. Everybody should please include a lot of comments in your code. How good a code is not defined by how many lines it has. How good a code is defined by how much comment it has. For anybody, this is a very simple program. I can look into this and I can really figure out हाँ दो number add हो रहा है. But when you are working on websites or apps that have, I know, 20,000 lines of code and then you have to go and fix a function, you really won't know where stuff is. So the large or more number of comments you give, that would be better. So we'll rename this to, I don't know, what should we rename this to? I will calculating, I don't know, product, I guess. Yeah. And now we'll save this file. So I have saved this file and now I'm on Windows, so I can't run this because I don't have GCC. But I have enough experience to know this thing will work. And I hope everybody here who has joined has enough, I hope. Or if you are in first year, you'll probably learn this very soon. I think you would have had 1 or 2 C labs already. So this is one of the basic programs. Now I have saved this file. Now I'll close VS Code. Okay. So I have changed this file locally. I go back to the internet and I look here, but the file on the internet still contains calculating sum. So what should I do now? So now Git has something called 3 stages. So the first stage is working area, the second stage is staging area, and the third is commits. So all the time you're working on the code, that is in VS Code or any preferred code editor that you work upon, that is when you are in working area. You are making changes to the code, okay? You are seeing, testing your code, adding new features and everything. Once you have added things to your code, ran some tests, and you are confirmed that everything is fine, then you put files into the staging area. The staging area is where you select files you want to go to the internet or you have to push to the online repository. And then after you have decided what files you need to commit, you will give a commit message, and then those files will be committed. So to start with, first we'll do something called git log. See, every of git command starts with git. You will see git appear every time I do something. So here is git log. So git log tells me the state it has when I cloned it from the internet. So if you see, you will see the first commit message was create test.c. I am the author, the date. So I did it at 3 p.m. and 18 minutes today. And this is the commit address. Now commit address or commit ID, if you say, are very important because these are the checkpoints. You can remember, if you don't remember your commit name, you can really use that commit ID to roll back changes or to go to a certain stage. So we have done git log, we see this. So now we have to see what's the status of our local repository. So I'll do git status, okay? So git status tells me, now it tells me a very interesting thing. It tells me modify test.c. See, have you ever told git any point before that you're going to modify a file? Nope. It's just there. But it will keep track. It keeps track in background of whatever changes you make. And then it will list those changes when you do git status. Okay. So then it also tells you one thing. First, the modified test.c is written in red, and then it's written changes are not staged for commit. So it's still things we are on the working area phase. So now we have to add things to commit. So if you look, Git will automatically tell you no changes have been added. You can use either git add or git commit -a. So for example, we have only one file. So we can write git add, and then we can write test.c. Now this would be very easy if you were always working with one files, but when you modify like 16, 17 files, and then you have to type this every time, git add this, add this, add this. And then if you lose track of some one file, it's all messed up. So we use this very cool shortcut, which is git add -capital A. Now git add space -capital A does it, git add all. So it will add all modified files to the staging area. So as soon as I type git add -a and press enter, it will do nothing. You don't see any output or anything. Now you're like, oh no, kya ho gaya? But rest, it is there. So if you do git status back, now you'll see it's in green. Okay, so there are changes to be committed, but the commit has not been made yet. So now you have gone into the staging area. These modified test.c has been staged. Now you have to commit this. So in order to commit this, first you have to give a commit message. Now you have to give a commit message. Sorry. which is understandable by, I guess, everybody who is working upon this. So people usually give commit messages, and the amount of PRs I've seen is updated file. Or they'll type today's date, for example, 4th October 2020. Or they'll just write hi, hello, bye, wow. Or they'll just write their names. Like if writing your names in commit will give you anything, then writing your names in commit won't give you anything. So you need to give a commit message that reflects what changes you have made to the file. So what changes did we make to the file? So the file earlier was doing, or the program earlier was doing addition. Now it's doing multiplication. So I'll write replaced addition by multiplication. Okay. So I'll type git commit -m. -m stands for dash message. Okay. So I'll make a git commit, then I'll give this dash message replace addition by multiplication. And then I'll press enter. And then we'll wait. So now Git is committing this file. It's taking, okay, so it's done. So it will tell you replaced addition by multiplication is the message. One file has changed. We have made 4 insertions and we have made 4 deletions. Okay. So every time you change a file in Git, it will assume that the original file or the original line that was present is deleted and a new file has been written. So, okay, so now you have committed the thing and they do git status again. You'll see your branch. Okay, so there's something new. Your branch is ahead of origin/main by 1 commit. Use git push to publish your local commits. Okay, so now we'll go online. We'll do a refresh again. क्या यार अभी तक नहीं आया, लाइक इतना देर से कमिट कर रहे हैं, स्टेज कर रहे हैं, करते ही जा रहे हैं, जा ही नहीं रहा है. Okay, so there is only one thing that is left, that is we have to push these changes to the web. So there is no very big command for that. You just write, now git push can involve a lot of things, but for this tutorial we'll just write git push and then we'll press enter. So now we'll wait. It will do its own magic that it does. Okay. So it has done its magic. It's enumerated objects 5. We only have 1. I don't know where 5 comes from, but it does not mess up things and it has been there since 2005. So I'll believe that. Compress objects, writing objects, resolving deltas. I don't know what that means. Maybe next Hacktoberfest I'll be able to explain that. Now if we go online and we refresh, oh, changes have appeared on the online repository. So we have number 1, number 2, but sum has gone and multiplication has appeared. Enter 2 numbers, calculating product, the comment we gave, and then we have multiplication number 1 into number 2. Then the code we exactly wrote, and then we come back. So if you go back to the base of the repository here, you look at test.c, you will find the last commit message that edited the file. It says replaced addition by multiplication. So I'll go to commits. Now here you can see all the commits that have been made on the repository. So the first commit was I created test.c. If you click on this, you will be able to see the code that I actually wrote when I created the file. So if you look at this, this still does summation, okay, the sum of 2 numbers. But if I go back and then I click on this commit, now I'll be able to see what changes were made in this commit. And this is a very interesting part of Git that enables us to like track changes. See, I'll make you count the 4 lines it said we have deleted and removed. So when we edited this line, Git decides, or any line you change or any part of the line you change, it just removes the line and assumes you wrote a new line. Okay. So this is line number 1. It will also highlight changes that you have made. So I've written sum, it changed into multiplication. It was calculating sum, now it's calculating product. So multiplication is equal to number 1 into number 2. And then I've changed the following things. Okay. So we have done this. So this is a very simple example of creating your own repository, making a file, changing things into the file, and then coming back and then pushing those changes back to the web. All this is fine and good until you own the repository or you have push access to it. So if I do git status back, it will tell me on branch main, Your branch is up to date with origin/main. Now the branch word has been appearing for quite a lot of time. And I think I should address what branches are, because you would also have seen patch 1, patch 2 branches, and people make those branches all the time. So the very big benefit that Git offers, Git as in version control offers, is the branching, very easy branching. Okay. So branching allows you to make, what do you say, changes to your code without affecting the main code. So I'll take a very simple example, you will understand. Mm, Imagine you have a mushroom farm and you have an app which allows people to buy mushrooms from your app. Okay, it's an e-commerce app we make for like Amazon ki tarah hai. So people come to your app, they place an order, and you deliver the products. Everything is fine and good until one day you open Amazon and then you see, "Arey wahan to favorites section hota hai." So you think you should also add this to your app. So imagine you are the developer, the owner of the app approaches you, and then he requests for a feature change. He says, "I need a favorites section for my app too, for each user that uses the app." So you have your app on the GitHub, you have it working well and file in the main branch. Okay. So now you look, are the branches of this app. Okay. So now in order to add a new function, you'll have to write code, then make changes, test those changes, and then when it's ready, you show it to the public. But the problem is the main branch is directly linked to the deployment of your app. Okay, the main branch contains critical code or APIs that your app uses to communicate with the database or Firebase or any MongoDB that you have used. So what do you do in that case? You can't just go around editing main branch in one night and then expect कि सब चल जाएगा, सब चंगा सी हो जाएगा, and then you just post changes and like, wow, एक दिन में कर दिया, अब तो दुगने पैसे मांगूंगा owner से. Well, real life scenarios that does not happen. So what you will do is you will make a new branch. Okay, so it says find or create a new branch. So I'll write feature. Okay. So it asks me to create a new branch from main. I'll click on this. It will do something. And now it has made a feature branch. Okay. So everybody has seen trees. I think you have gone out after this lockdown thoda bahut and seen trees around. So trees mein hota hai na trunk, and then you have like branches that shoot off the trunk. Okay. So that is the same way here. You will have a main stream, which is your main function or the main branch. And then from this main branch, you'll branch out different feature branches. And one you will add favorites section, other you will add options to allow profile editing and everything. And then now this feature branch is not directly related to the main branch. Okay, so you can make all the changes you want in the world, experiment with the code, does not work out, delete the branch, do anything with it. But does affecting any branch really affect the main trunk of the tree? No. So that is what's great about Git, because it allows you to make branches on which you can now experiment, make changes. And once you have made changes, ran test, seen the code work, you will then merge the branch into the main branch. So you are going to merge this feature branch into the main branch. Now, what does this mean? Okay. So your main branch is simultaneously going forward as your feature branches. You are making changes to your feature branch, but your main branch does not show or reflect any of the changes because it's a different branch. After you have made changes, ran the CI and shown the product to, I guess, the owner of the app, and he's satisfied with it, he says, okay, now let's make this product go live. You'll see terms like people use that this website will go live at this point and everything. This is also somewhat related to that. So after you have made changes to your feature branch, you'll merge this into your main branch. This will copy the entire code you have improvised upon into the main branch or master branch in one go. Okay. Now you have the tested code in master branch or the main branch, and it's ready to go. And then now all the customers of your owner's app can now do or refer or use the favorites section however they want to, until the owner appears and asks for another feature update. At that point, you should really decide upon how you sign the contract with the owner. Okay, so this is what branches are. See, I've written some part of it in a Word file. I'll very quickly read it because I wrote this, but I did not speak, but this will summarize stuff. So I have written, branch in Git is like a branch of a tree. Wow. Analogically, a tree branch is attached to the central part of a tree called trunk. While branches can generate and fall off, the trunk remains compact and is the only part which we can say the tree is alive and standing. Okay. Similarly, a branch in Git is a way to keep developing and coding new features or modification into the software and still not affecting the main part of the project. We can also say the branches create another line of development in the project. The primary or default branch in Git is the master branch. Now it has been renamed to main. If anybody of you follows tech news, you would know why. As soon as the repository is created, so the main branch is created, which is the default branch. So till now in this, we have covered how to make a repository, clone a repository, edit changes, state changes, commit changes, and then push changes, and then what branching is in real life. So now we will head to the more important part, or the part in which everybody is interested, that is making PRs, because I don't know, chart PR बनाने के बाद t-shirt तो उसी से मिलेगा. So one thing I'll like to address at this point, if you are following Hacktoberfest, you'll see a lot of stigma that has grown around or developing into open source and then people spamming into repositories. I hope nobody here does that. We as moderators and part of the Hacktober managing team and the Discord channel, we like condemn, please do not make small changes to readme or anything and then assume or expect us to merge your PR. If you make valid changes, even if you have not written accurate code, we'll give you code reviews. Hell, we'll even change the code so that it can be correct, because we know you are new people and you have just started using GitHub, so it's a new domain for you. But please do not spam any of the repositories online or anywhere else. Okay, so ये मेरा थोड़ा lecture हो गया. So I guess Rohan बहुत देर से चुप है, so now I'll probably let Rohan take over. So this is a very frank stream. I'll be going into reading comment sections for now, and then I'll be collecting questions that we'll address in the last Q&A section. So if you have any regarding whatever I spoke till this point, you can please start writing them down in the chat box, and I'll also go and have a sip of water. Okay, thank you. Over to you, Rohan.
So let's start with making our pull request. So I'll show you how to make a pull request in this IoT lab kit organization in the tasks.a repository. So before making a pull request, you do want to know if they want a pull request, if the maintainer does want a pull request. When we click on this issues tab, we see a number of issues over here, and we can choose any issue we want to fix. Now I have already assigned an issue to myself, so I will not look here. So now when you want to start working on the code, what should you do? This repository does not belong to me. This belongs to IoT Lab Kit. So I have to create a fork of this repository. Now I already have a fork of this repository, so I'll go and check, and it says I'm 19 commits behind IoT Lab Master. But when you make your fork, as soon as you make it, it should say that this branch is even with IoT Lab Kit Master. So let's clone this branch like Silas taught us to. Okay. So let's open PowerShell here. Oh wow. Let me just open this. Man, those streaming issues. So many issues.
अरे सबके साथ होता है, तन्मय भट्ट के साथ भी होता है, तो हम लोग तो आज फर्स्ट टाइम कर रहे हैं. बॉट आर्मी ओपी मत लिखना चालू कर देना चैट में, ठीक है? IoT लैब ओपी लिखो.
Okay, so oh man, let's start. Let me open PowerShell here, increase the font size. Let's go to desktop. I'll just You'll see me fail here. You will. So now let's do git clone my repository, do task.py. So this is my repository that I've just cloned. So I can look at the folders here. I can see requirements.txt and this folder basic, which has a few files in it. So over here, let me open this repository in VS Code. I hope you all have seen VS Code. Sahil used VS Code like a few minutes ago. So the issue I have assigned to myself is like creating a program that prints if a number is even or odd. Pretty simple. So I will, oh,
Rohan, you need to unmute yourself.
okay. Okay, so why is VS Code opening now? Okay, so over here I cloned github.com/archirog/task.py. Now what does this signify? It says it tells Git to clone from HTTPS this repository from github.com, name archirog, task, and the repository name is task.py.git. So now after cloning this repository, I can go see it in over here in task.py, this entire thing. Now to explore it more, I will open it with VS Code so that I can show you everything. So over here we have a requirements.txt, which basically shows what packages we need. It's not that important. Okay, so now I will check easy.py. easy.py. So over here, let me check out a function that says even. Okay, it's not here. It's an odd even.py. I should have seen that. So over here, this function is already made, I see, but let me change it just for demonstration. But whenever you contribute to an issue, try to improve upon the existing issue, right? Okay, okay, is it audible now? And why are people still messaging? It's not audible. Okay, so now if it's simple code, you can write it in C also. If num mod 2 is equal to 0, return true, else return false. Pretty simple. Now let's do what Sahil told us to do with Git. Okay, I hope this font is visible to everyone. So now we see Git status. It shows that I have modified the basic/oddeven.py file. And now let me add this. Git add basic/oddeven.py. Now when we do git status, it says I have modified oddeven.py. Now let me commit this change. Git commit -m improved oddeven.py. I haven't, but for the sake of this, I have. Now after committing this, let me do git status again. Now my branch is one commit ahead of origin master. So now I need to push this to my origin. So when I do git push, it has resolved deltas and pushed it finally to master. Now I'm going to change my screen again, so God knows what's going to happen. Let's see. Okay. So is the GitHub page visible? I think so. I think yes. So now this shows that I have improved oddeven.py. What this also shows is that my branch is now one commit ahead and 19 commits behind. Earlier it was simply 19 commits behind, right? Not one commit ahead. So now we will make our pull request. Now GitHub automatically checks if we can merge our branch into the master branch, and it says that we are able to merge right now, and it shows me the changes I have made. I've removed this return not num and 1, and this is what I'm returning. So I've created my pull request. Now to notify us that yes, I have created a pull request, you can assign one of us to review. I will ask Sahil to review my pull request. Over here, let's see. This is a file, template that you must fill up while making a pull request. Is it a bug fix? No. Is it a new feature? No. Is it breaking a change? No. So now, have I done contributing.md? Yes, I have. Does my code follow the coding style? Yes. Whatever, you should fill it up. I've checked that my PR is not a duplicate and all new and existing tests have passed. So I will create a pull request. So now my pull request is ready and Sahil has been assigned to review this pull request. What our IoT Labs repository also does is that it checks if our code is breaking anything. So it says some checks haven't completed yet. It is running a check in the background, which I can go and see. It is creating a new Python environment and testing everything. You do not need to know that. It will just tell you if your changes have passed the test or not. And it says now that my checks are passing. So now let's see. Sahil, would you please merge my pull request?
Okay, Ron, I will check if you have written the correct code or not first.
So let me show your screen now. I hope that is visible. Sahil, wait. No. So right now Sahil is merging my pull request.
Okay, so is my screen visible, Ron?
No, it is not. There is some issue with Zoom again. What can be? It is going like an online class. Wait, let me just add your screen. Just a minute. Yes, your screen is visible now, Sahil.
Okay, thank you, Ron. So, so this is something you won't be seeing in the time you will be making a PR because this is for maintainers of the repository only. So I'd like to highlight upon the fact that every time you go and want to contribute to a repository, there are two things you should definitely read. One is the readme.md, which you will find here. And the second is contributing.md that we'll find here. So any repository that really wants to accept changes, it's not necessary, but good repositories often have a readme.md and contributing.md there. So it will tell you how to contribute. The repo is a basic folder that serves as an import to the main.py file. And then you'll see the pull request process, steps for making the pull request, and our code of conduct. So as a standard procedure, you should read everything that's written here. Okay. So now we'll go to pull request. And I see one pull request were opened by Rohan here. So I'll go into this area. So Rohan wants me to review his pull request. So I'll go into the files change section. Okay, so it's written if num mod 2 is equal to 0 true, as was false. Okay, so I think the code is correct as for now. So I'll click on review changes. Code is correct. CI passed, approve. Now, for every time you submit a PR to our organizational repo that is here at github.com/iot-lab-kit, you will receive a review Of course, we review all and every single PR that appears. We'll tell you what mistakes you have made and what changes you need to make in order for the PR to get approved if we request some changes. But this looks good, so I approve this PR. So now changes have been approved. I have given the approval, and I'll now merge this pull request. So it will ask me what's the title and the comment. So I'll leave it on this and I'll click on merge. And merge has been done. So now we can go into oddevent.py and go back to task.py. Okay, and then we go to commits. So see, this is the commit Rohan made, but that was on his own fork. Okay, so if you want to see his fork, now we'll go to this section. We'll go here. I'll go to slash tasks.py. Rohan, is this the address?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is the address. So I'll go here into commits. So see, this is the commit Rohan made 9 minutes ago in his own repo, which is the technically your repo that you will be forking from the main or the organizational or any repository on GitHub. But after making a merge request, his commits have now been merged directly into the main repo. So if I go into task.py and Rohan, what was the file? Oh, oddevent.py. And I go into oddevent.py and I open here, I'll see Rohan's code is reflecting in the main repository. So now you'll also see contributors who have contributed to this. So Rohan has contributed to this, and this is somebody else who has also contributed to this. Since this is an open source initiative, so anybody from anywhere in the world can come and contribute. In fact, we have had more contributions from outside Kit on these repositories than inside Kit. So I hope after this session, you all will come and contribute to this. So this is the procedure for making a PR. So if you need to contribute to any of these repositories, the first thing you have to look is they should have an Hacktoberfest label. So we have a Python repository, we have a contributors page, then we have task.c, then we have a Flutter app in case you are experienced with that, and we also have a Mon-based app. So remember the app we were talking about, mushrooms. So this is the app and this is the website. You can check these out here. Oh, so I see there is also one pull request in contributors page. Somebody has opened this pull request. So I'll show you what like live merging pull requests look like. So I'll go to files change. So the things I will see are the basic requirements here is you need to leave the template back and then you have to add your name. So this repo is open to everybody. Anybody who wants to come and put their name in this repo is welcome. It's not exactly putting a name. I'll show you right now. So I'll give the code review, template present, approved, and then I'll approve the changes. Okay, so changes has been approved and I'll do merge pull request and I'll write added x3 rz profile box. This is for my own reference as maintainers. Once you learn Git enough, you can also open your own repositories. In fact, even if you open your own repositories and your friends come and make a pull request into it, you will have to follow the same procedure. So we thought we should let you know how it looks. Okay, so go back to the contributors page. You will find this link here, which is the direct deployment of this repository on the internet. So if you come into this page, you will find all the people who have contributed to this repository and or to the IoT Lab contribution section. So the last commit here is this. Now, if I refresh, see, I have just merged this person's pull request into this, and now you can directly see live all the people that have till now contributed to this repository. Anybody and everybody is allowed and open to come and contribute to any of these repositories if you want to. So we should now I guess we'll take questions from people till the time we have our friends at Guide getting set up.
There was also one more thing I wanted to show them, that upstream part.
Yeah,
So they
Rohan,
don't have to
definitely.
keep making patches.
Okay.
So uh, I'll wait till my screen is visible this time.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so I guess my screen is not visible.
It is visible.
It is? Okay, good. So now on my fork, it says that my branch is 20 commits behind IoT Lab Kit master. But how is that? My commit is the newest commit on that repository. So for that, there's a good practice step that you must follow. It's not mandatory, but I would recommend doing that. See, to see the remote origins of your repository, the command you need is git remote dash v. V stands for verbose. Oh wait, I need to be in task.py. Git remote dash v. So it says that my origin is github.com/archive/task.py. But I also need to push to get the new commits from the IoT Lab repository. To do that, I will add IoT Labs repository as an upstream branch. You do not need to know what that means, what upstream means. It is basically that this is the parent repo and I would like my changes to be mirrored with that. So I do git remote add upstream control shift V. So this is the repository link IoT lab kit slash task.py.git. So now it has added this upstream as a remote. When I see git remote dash v, I see, okay, so our friends from Kite are here. So I see two origins, two remotes now, upstream and origin. So now let's pull changes from upstream. Git pull upstream master. So now it shows that git ignore was changed, list operations.py was changed, easy.py was changed. There are so many things that were changed. So now when I do git push, this will be to my own repository. So when I do this, let's see what I see. Okay, so let's open this up. Now it shows that my branch is even with IoT Lab Master. So now I can make my next pull because I can work again and my branch will be even. So it will avoid any merge conflicts later. So now let's set up our meeting with our friends at Kite.
Yeah, so are we live?
I'll just wait till it appears on the stream.
Sure. Okay.
Yes, I think you're live.
Okay. Okay. Cool. I hope everybody could see my screen. So the word kite has been going around in this session for since the beginning. It was also seen in the posters. But what is it, you might ask? And let's get started with it. This is the kite repository, which I hope the IoT Lab guys would provide you the link with. What is
Yeah,
it?
it's there in the description.
Right. So yeah, it's there in the description. So Guide is in a single sentence. It is an application. It is an application based on Flutter. But what is this application for? If we read the description here on the repository, it says that Guide is a Git guide. It is an app for all the university related needs. This app is developed with the plan of making one app to rule them all, from guiding new visitors to seeing all the student activities presently taking place, up to student attendance tracking, all with a single easy app to use with the power of Flutter. So initially we started this project in a lab, in a KIIT University lab, just like you guys have C lab, or we have the IoT lab, or any other lab that comes into the curriculum in the academics. But then it grew out to go so well that we took this further to a next level. If apart from first years, I hope all the second, third, and final year students would remember that KIIT hosted the Halo India University Games. The Kite app was the demo application for Halo India University Games, and then it got approved. But the original official government application took inspiration from Kite, and then they implemented the features in association with us. When Halo India got over, then we thought that okay, now let's make this app an app by the students, for the students, of the students. How does this work? Without speaking much words, I'll just share my screen. If the moderators are looking, I have joined with two IDs, and I would want to share my screen from the other ID uh, on my phone so that I can share the app. Is that possible? So
Open your
I'll
screen
share the screen.
sharing. I'll see if there's any issues. I'll fix it.
Right. Okay. So I've started the screen sharing on Zoom.
Okay. Yes, your phone is visible. You are
Yeah. So
not.
am I on?
Let me add your box too.
Sure. As long as my phone is on the screen, that's
Yeah,
fine.
your phone is visible right now.
Sure. So let me open this app and let me show you how this works. Okay. So I had it open previous. Sorry, I dropped out. Yeah. I mean, I could have shared the screen mirrored, but that that seemed to be pretty uncomfortable. While the screen sharing happens, I hope my voice is audible. This is a project which has been accepted by the Git administration because it actually goes on to some levels of integrating this application into the entire student experience throughout the journey of a KIIT student. So yeah, I've shared my screen. Is it live on the stream?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll open the app and this is how it looks. And I'll guide you through the app on how it goes and how it enhances the student experience of any KIIT student, be it first year, second year, third year, or any year of that sort. And It will also be beneficial for the faculties, for the administration, and anybody who is associated with KIT University in any way possible. So when we open the screen, we see a blog section where we can have three sections: news, we can have blogs, we can have events here. And mind you, this is all developed by students of KIT University, uh, and some of them are a part of IoT Lab, KIT, and uh, these are blogs that the students could read. So we all know that we all get the founders mail on our kit email IDs, which nobody reads. Of course, I'm sure, I'm told, because I don't, because it gets disturbing at times. But in this format, the founders email, or any kind of notice that the administration wants to put, or some student related activities that the society coordinators or student coordinators want to put, they can have it here. But what's more for the student here is, like, we can have attendance here. Like, we can fetch the attendance from your SAP portal, and not just attendance, we can fetch anything of the sort of academic details and mentor details, or anything uh, which is essential in the SAP portal for you. So you can see that my attendance is pretty bad. So, yeah, so I mean 27% attendance, but I assure you that in the final year you would be seeing this for yourself as well. But yeah, it shows you an overview that how much attendance are you short of and how much attendance you need. And attendance is just a small portion of it. We have obviously small features like dark themes, and I mean light theme, and we have our profile where you can store your CGPA, your branch, and etc. But how is this application relevant in this stream? Guide is an open source repository. Now, if I want to, I would like to switch the stream to my laptop again. So I'll stop my screen sharing on the phone. Okay. Yeah. So am I on the stream with my laptop screen on? Yeah. So this is an open source repository where you can contribute all these things that Sahil and the team of IoT Lab taught you to how to do a git commit or a git push, or make a pull request. This is a sample repository alongside the IoT Lab Kits uh, repository where you can contribute to this project. If you have basic knowledge of programming, then you might want to go to the IoT Labs section repository. If you want to build applications using Flutter, which is a very well-known repository, if you want to learn Flutter, if you want to implement what you have learned through Flutter, you can come to this repository. You can look into the issues, and there are some specific issues which are marked as KIIT only. For example, this one. Why is this a KIIT only issue? Because it requires the SAP portal attendance credentials. So for example, we have an issue here where a small UI bug is listed, where there is some overflow of the text. I know most of the people here are beginners to GitHub and any kind of programming or application development. But if you reach to a stage where you want to move further, you want to take a step up in your development career, then this might be the first step for you to get involved into active application development, which is actually deployed on the Play Store, which is accepted by the KIIT administration, and we are working actively with the KIIT faculties, with the respective Professor Kumar Devdatta, if anybody in the live in the stream knows him personally. And moreover, we look forward to immense collaboration with IoT Lab and other open source societies on the inside KIT University, because we don't want to restrict anybody in any sort of way. This is an open source repository and we respect open source contributions. We also have a few more repositories in the guide organization, which I won't go through right now because those are private, but I will certainly tell you what are those. So guide When I told you it's an application in simple words, it is actually not just an application but a platform in itself. This is the tech stack that Kite follows, and this small mobile phone that you see here in between is what I showed you in the stream. But on the back end, how this entire thing is working is spread over a vast variety of technologies and has an immense scope in the future. What is there? We have a blog admin panel where all those blogs that you saw, or the events or the news that you see, can be managed through a React JS application on the backend. So if you are a React developer, if you don't want to contribute to Flutter code, you can come to our org, you can request access to the repository, and you can contribute to uh, the uh, the React code that we have. And we are soon going to uh, make those private repositories public and open source when they are stable. But you can, if you really are interested, we can have you in there. We have a Flask repository also, which fetches the attendance and other information from your SAP portal, which uses web scraping and libraries like JSON on the backend. So if you are a Python developer, you can also come to us, and we are soon going to make this open source as well. And these are hosted on the respective platforms. The Flask repository is hosted on Hero, and the React.js application is hosted on Netlify. So if you are a beginner, you are going to hear these terms really soon when you start doing active development. Our database is on a Firebase Cloud Firestore, and our authentication, our login, sign up, registration, etc., is all managed by the Google service called Firebase. What is the future of this application, you might ask? So since we are focusing on an end-to-end student experience application where a student, a KI, a KTN, you will need this application every day to check everything at all, from timetables, meetings, student gatherings. If you are part of the student activity center, the KSAC, then you can have society meetups there. You can have obviously the attendance is there. We can enhance that UI as well. We can have the end-to-end classroom experience where faculties can upload assignments there and you can submit your solutions there. And there's an immense scope of further development there. And if you see in the Kite repository, some of those future feature requests are also mentioned there. So if you really find this interesting, I invite you as a member of the Kite project to contribute to this project in any technology that you want. If you are proficient in Java, you want to build a server in Java, you are welcome to contribute to our repository. How can you do that? If when I showed you this stack, okay, so this, we are following something called a microservices architecture. We don't have a single server and a single client. Yes, we have a single client for now, but in future we are looking forward to a microservices architecture where every service will have its own dedicated server. So you as a beginner will get exposed to all these kind of advanced technical things which actually matter in the company which you are going to work in the near future. And this internal project of KIIT University, which I am not supposed to say it's an internal because it's open source. So this project will help you get the exposure to the good coding practices and the actual production environment which you are going to see in the company that you're going to work in when your placements start, or when you get placed in a reputed company. So are there any questions? I'm free to take them. And if there is someone interested, then you can get in touch with the IoT Lab team. They can give you the contact, or you can put up issues, freely issue. You can put up issues on the Kite repo, and we will surely address them. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We have already got some pull requests during Hacktoberfest, and we have also accepted a few of them. The fun part is that if you make a pull request on the Kite repository and it gets accepted, then you will be awarded with a certificate which you can put up on your LinkedIn profile or something, or any kind of portfolio that you have. For example, if you see this person, he has contributed to the Kite repository, and yes, we have acknowledged him with a certificate which you can get if you contribute, and if you contribute significantly to the guides repository. Yeah, so I'm open to questions, and over to IoT Lab guys, and thank you so much for arranging this for us. We are hoping for a great collaboration in the near future as well.
Yes, Flutter is definitely the future we have been seeing for a long time. A lot of Flutter developers from India have been. The share of Flutter apps on Play Store went significantly up the last time Google released their stats in July, I think.
Right,
I think
right,
a lot of people will be there who would be
right. And
wishing
Flutter
to
is so
contribute.
famous. I mean, the Google Play Store itself, it's now they ramped it up into a Flutter application a few weeks ago. So
Yeah, the
yeah,
Taze
it is
application as
impressive,
well.
right? And the best part is Flutter as a technology does not restrict you to build only mobile applications, but cross-platform applications across web and desktop-friendly applications as well. So yeah, anybody interested in advanced development in Flutter, or even wants to get started with Flutter, we, the Kite team, will help you learn, help you will give you resources to learn Flutter and contribute to open source projects, not just Kite, but any other open source project which is built on Flutter or React or Flask. And I'm sure you can get a similar kind of support from IoT Lab as well. So yeah, that's it from my side, and thank you so much for having us in the stream.
Yeah,
You can
definitely.
proceed further. Sure. I'll stop my screen sharing.
So I think we can move on to our Q&A section now.
Yeah, Anuj, Anjit, if you'd stay back in case somebody has some kite questions to ask.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. We have a question. What about Kotlin?
What about Kotlin? Okay. Right, right.
Okay.
So that's a very good question. That's actually a very good question. Kotlin is great. So why do we choose technologies like Flutter or say React Native as a competitor to Flutter, or any other native programming, any other technology or a framework which is apart from native programming languages like Java or Kotlin? Is because if you want to build an application, you want to make sure that your audience is not just restricted to Android users or iPhone users. So, or not just even mobile users. You if you want to build cross-platform applications which work on the mobile phone, on irrespective of the operating system, say Android or iOS, or if you want to put the same application on the web or on the desktop, then this is called a cross-platform framework technology, or a cross-platform application development. There are various frameworks out there which help you achieve this kind of stuff, and Flutter is the most famous among them. And Flutter and React Native arguably are the most famous among those technologies. Why do we not choose native programming languages like Kotlin or Java on Android? Because if we had developed this application on Kotlin or Java, then we would have to make a separate code base for iOS application as well, and we had to do the entire development for iPhone users separately on Objective-C or Swift or whatever the language there is. But with Flutter or React Native or any kind of cross-platform application framework, you can have a single code base, and with minimal amount of code change, you can serve this application to any operating system or platform that you want to serve it to. I hope this answers your question.
Yeah, in the recent changes, you can now build apps for Windows also using Flutter. It's now in
Yeah,
alpha.
absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
You can write
So
one
the
code
future,
base and then you can expect it to work on the web, on Windows, on Linux, on your phone,
right,
irrespective.
anywhere,
That is the
anywhere, yeah.
best thing about Flutter.
That is the best thing. Yeah. So any more questions or kite or cross-platform development, I'm sure I would be glad to address them.
Okay, Freyam has asked, he has submitted a pull request on the 27th task on task.c, but forget to mention any reviewer. Well, you need to give us the poll ID number that you had. So we'll look into this. I'm sure I would have replied or given a code review or closed or accepted the thing. In case I haven't, I'll look into it.
Okay. Do we have to go through all of that when we work in an open source community? Well, I think git pull, git push, PRs are a part of open source. Mostly whatever we have talked about is the basics. Every open source project requires you to know those basic things.
Even if it's not open source and you are working on a project or something, you would require a version control at some point.
Yeah.
So anytime you cross like 1,000 lines of development, then you have to keep track of stuff. Like you see a lot of applications getting version numbers like 0.2.3, 0.2.4. So these are significant checkpoints. So behind these checkpoints, you have a lot of commits, like around 50 commits will come together and then you make one version bump that you get to see on the Play Store. So it's very distributed if you look at the backside.
There's another question. It takes a lot of time to go through all the projects and then see if there's a bug and then try to fix the bug. Is there any easy way of doing open source commits? Neha Kaushik has asked this question.
Okay, Neha. So I think our repositories and Kite's repository both have an issues section that list all the issues that we are facing with the code. So you can look into that first. Like you don't really have to go into the code, pull the app, build it, and then check for anything. You can like directly look into the code section. For example, you saw that there was an attendance problem. So you can, if you know Flutter will probably know, you can use an expanded widget with a constrained height and width box, and then you can fix that issue or use some different type of scaling and everything. So this is how you know if you have been working on Flutter and you look at the issue and you have faced that issue before, you can like definitely contribute to that. Other times, I think usually good open source project often have a very detailed list of issues and a contributing.md that explains how you can contribute to them.
Okay, Vamshi Krishna asks, can you also tell us what makes a valid pull request? Like a simple contribution would be useless, right?
A valid pull request is a very complex question to answer at this point. Uh, what is anything that contributes into improving the code or the efficiency of the code is a valid pull request in my explanation, I guess. Anything, I don't know, you have written a function that does not have recursive calls and then you convert that function into recursive to improvise upon something, maybe that. If Anujit can add to something of this.
Yeah, I really want to add something to this. If I would like to share my screen so I could show. We had a pull request on Kite's repository.
Okay, wait,
Which we
wait. Let me
Right,
switch to
sure.
your
Yeah.
screen share.
While you're switching,
Yeah.
let me just go through. So we had a pull request on the Kite's on Kite's repository, which will answer your question actually, which we marked as invalid, and we will actually tell you why we did that. Just tell me when I'm on
Yes, you are
the
on.
stream.
You're on the screen.
Right. Okay. Sure. So there were a lot of pull requests that we had for Kite during Hacktoberfest, and we closed a lot of them. One of them being was a pull request which was submitted by someone outside of KIIT, I suppose. And what were the file changes? Let me go through the file changes. Okay. So there was just one file that was changed, and that was the readme.md, which is the intro to the repository. If you're not familiar with what is a readme.md, and what was the change that was done? This one line was changed, and the entire line was the same. What changed was it was this person added a just a full stop. With due respect to the contributor, uh, this is I mean, he might as well be starting with GitHub contributions during Hacktoberfest, so that's totally fine. But this does not count to a valid pull request. Why? Because this is not improving Kite as an application, or this is not solving an existing issue, or this is not making Kite application a better application in any way through the front end or the back end as per the user experience or the efficiency or optimization of the program. Okay, so if at all the readme.md was beautified a bit, or maybe they added some essential features or links to some essential parts. For example, we had a pull request where the readme.md was, I mean, one of the contributors from KIIT itself. They changed the readme.md and added this section, this black section. I hope you are able to see this. So this says that the source directory structure. What is the directory structure of the repository? Now this is an important change. I mean, according to me or according to the maintainers of the repository, this is an important change because anybody new who is new to Kite, they won't know how the project file structure is. So mentioning this in the readme.md is great, but changing just a full stop or maybe correcting a spelling mistake is against the rules of Hacktoberfest. So as per maintaining the code of conduct of Hacktoberfest, those kind of pull requests are marked as invalid. Yeah, I'm kind of done here. I hope
Yeah.
I answered your question.
Yes, yes, you have answered it quite well. I wouldn't have been able to answer it that in that much detail. And Alok Bhai is going to be joining us soon. He is the coordinator of IoT Lab. He should be here any minute. So, Sahil, you wanted to say something to everyone?
Yeah. So there has been a recent scandal, or not a scandal technically, but there was this video from a guy named Code with Harry on YouTube who was like promoting people to make very cheap PRs. Exactly the PR you saw in the Kite repository, like adding one or two lines into this and then making a PR. So this led to a lot of spam this year in Hacktoberfest, and then everybody in the open source community faced backlash for that. So I'll just want to highlight upon the fact that हाँ ठीक है, we get t-shirts for everything, but whatever you learn in this skill, it's going to be used in the industry you're going to enter. हर जगह जहाँ भी काम करने जाओगे, कुछ भी करोगे, Git बहुत यूज होता है. Git नहीं यूज होगा तो GitLab यूज होगा, कुछ भी यूज होगा. But anytime you go into something which is code driven development, उसमें बहुत ज्यादा रहेगा. प्लीज प्लीज डू नॉट डू टीडीडी टी शर्ट ड्रिवन डेवलपमेंट नहीं करना है हमें. ठीक है. 30 days ऑफ गूगल है. गूगल क्लाउड सीखो. ठीक है. सीखना है. हम लोग यहाँ सिखाने के लिए आए हैं. हमने भी खुद से ही सीखा है. हमें ये जो टी शर्ट है 2019 में मिली थी. ओके. तो हमने भी पुल रिक्वेस्ट बनाई. आई इनफैक्ट आई फिनिश्ड इट ऑन 23rd of October. ठीक है. और फिर 7 days का रिव्यू पीरियड. सो आई माइंड by the hair of my teeth, skin of my teeth, I managed to sneak in 29th. So this is a fun experience. Okay, so everybody is here to learn and everything. तो ऐसा pull request मत करो. We have very simple and sober C and Python repositories. Like दो नंबर स्वैप करना है यार. A is equal to B, B is equal to C, C is equal to A लिख के भी चल जाएगा pull request. ठीक है. तो हम we are accepting that level of code also, but please do not do t-shirt driven development. Okay, that is the only thing I'd like to say. Or Alok Bhai, if you want to say anything. Alok Bhai is our senior coordinator of the lab.
Mr. Bhaiya.
Yeah, hi everyone. I hope the session so far is going good. I have great thanks to Anijit also representing KIDE and guiding the students and our juniors regarding the importance of Flutter and how they can contribute in open source. Okay, so there is an announcement to be made, like as we are talking about the cloud developments and all the other things. So what we from our Internet of Things lab have decided that at a very minimal cost, since obviously we will be having resources, so that's why only we are charging. We are conducting a course on cloud, particularly on AWS. And the major advantage is that you will directly get the experience, in-hand experience from the AWS in-house. Like the persons who will be tutoring you are AWS employees working as support engineers or engineers in the AWS organization, and we will be having this course of 55 hours from 10th of October onwards. So those who are interested may register. You may join our Telegram group. I perhaps believe that you would have also received the mail regarding the same. So join that, and you can learn more in that domain. Okay.
Okay, so are we taking any more questions? I have like a dual monitor setup, so I look at this side. Please excuse.
Can we
Look
have
for question.
can we have 4 pull requests on the same repository? Asked Shobha Agarwal.
Yeah, we can have 4 pull requests on the same repository. We have like 30 C programs. If you can make changes to 4 of them, you can have 4 pull requests. But just to make sure, please do make them as separate pull requests. Don't make 4 program changes in one pull request and then expect us to count as 4. Yeah, I'd also like you everyone to just go to hacktober.digitalocean.com/profile. I think I'll show you in a second after Rohan will switch to the screen sharing mode. There you can check your progress. I see a lot of people have not signed in with their GitHub account there and have started making pull requests. And I'll also share the updated rules in the end after I show that. So because the rules have changed on 3rd of October, 12 a.m. UTC this year. So I'll let you know. Rohan, if you can switch the screen, please do let me know after you have done that.
Wait. Let me see if I can change your screen right now.
Okay. You can share the entire Zoom screen. That would be fine.
Okay, I'll do that.
Do let me know when it's visible.
Yes, I will.
Okay. So everybody
The
here.
entire Zoom screen is visible now.
Okay. So everybody here, I request you to please go to this URL. I hope anybody watching this stream can update the description and put this in the description. So here you will see your contributions and the maturity date. So until the 6th Hacktoberfest that happened last year, this is a doubt of a lot of people I have been getting. So the mature period was 7 days. So at that point, you had to make a pull request in any of the repos on GitHub, and then your pull request can either be merged or not merged. The only condition was it had to stay there for 7 days and not being marked as invalid. But due to the lot of spam and readme, the rules this year have changed. So after you have made, if you have made a pull request before 3rd October, 12 p.m. UTC, which is technically around 5:30 in the morning in India. If you have made a pull request before that and it is merged or not merged, it's totally fine. It will count into your contributions as one of the 4 pull requests. If you have made pull request after, I guess, 5:30 a.m. 3rd October, the pull request either needs to be merged, approved, or have an Hacktober approved label in order to be counted as a contribution. So this is a change that has happened. So everybody should please acknowledge that. Yeah, that is the only thing like I had to add, because I have been getting a lot of messages since 3rd, because why has my maturing date gone up to 13 days? have I done something wrong? Has it been marked as spam? No, nothing of that sort. This is an internal change that DigitalOcean and GitHub have made this year. So there's nothing to worry about. If you see 4 out of 4 pull requests here and you see your mature in countdown timer working as this is, that is totally fine.
I think we've run out of questions. So should we end the session? Okay. Oh, we have another question. Wow. The question is, and can we make a PR on any public repository with Hacktoberfest tag, or is there a condition on which repos it will be considered? For example, is it fine if I make a PR on my friend's repo?
Starting October 3rd, your friend's repo need to have the Hacktoberfest label in order for the PR to get merged. Before that, it was not mandatory, but after the 3rd October changes, the repo must have a Hacktoberfest label. I'll share the screen and show you how it looks. Okay, I'll share my screen. I'll share Chrome. Okay, so if I go to here, if you open any of the repos, you will probably see labels here. So this is the section of label. Here is the about section. So you need this label to be present on the repository on which you are going to make a PR. These are the new changes. If you have made a pull request on a repo that did not have this label before 3rd October, totally well and fine, it will be accepted. But after 3rd October, you really need this. This is the contributions page I was talking about. It's 4 out of 4 pull requests. Then you will have this maturity date and the pull request you have submitted. Please do keep checking this page in case any of this get marked as spam. You will get to know here only. Any more questions do we have?
Okay. Atlanta Gogoi asks, I am sorry I'm asking it here. Where can I find the git commands? Is there a way I can find all the commands in one place?
Yeah, you definitely can find git commands. I'll write git commands cheat sheet. So there is an Altasian git cheat sheet here also. GitHub itself has its own cheat sheet. So you can get all the important commands here. Git is more than this. We are still learning Git ourselves. We find new challenges every day, new merge conflicts that we need new commands to resolve. So I'll not say this is the total Git configuration or the Git commands, but yeah, this will summarize everything you will probably need. This is a very important command. It's called git stash. When you've lost all hope, you'll learn to do git stash at some point.
So I think we've answered all our questions. So
I think there's one question that we missed. Somebody asked, can you share something about GSOC? Can I take that up?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I think it's Neha Kaushik who asked, can you share something about GSOC? So I would like to add to this that GSOC is all about open source contributions. Okay, so Hacktoberfest is an initiative to spread awareness about open source. But when you have gained that awareness, when you have gained the knowledge or that experience, then if you want to apply that, then GSOC is the way to go. Okay, it obviously it is. I mean, it's a very attractive offer. It has the tag of Google, but you need a certain amount of experience in open source because writing the code yourself in your own local machine is different from reading somebody else's code on somebody else's repository, because you will have to understand their coding style, you will have to understand how they work, or you will have to learn from them, or you will have to maybe suggest them changes. So all those practices, those good practices on the open source environment or in the open source community is what counts to your experience, and only then you might want to go to any kind of such open source initiatives like GSOC or Major League Hacking or any other such open source initiatives which promote open source contributions of open source organizations. I'm sure if that I answered your question.
Yeah, open source is not always rewarding. It's about giving to the developer community.
Exactly. Yeah. Rewards are secondary, because if we have good technology, then it's good for us only. So if we give to the world without expecting anything in return, then that is actually all about open source.
Okay, Ron, do we have any more questions?
I don't think so.
Okay,
So
so
let's end this
I think we
session.
should wrap up this stream.
Thank you everyone
We'll
for coming.